Space, the final frontier. Space Station Ashland sits on the edge of Federation space with its companion ship, the USS Dilamus Christian. The space around them is full of mystery and strange wonders, where secrets are kept and danger lurks around every corner. The crew of the Dilamus Christian must navigate treacherous waters as they work to protect the Federation. But as they peer into the unknown, they will discover that the line between friend and foe is not always clear. They will be tested like never before and will face challenges that will push them to their limits. Join us on this adventure as we explore the farthest reaches of space and uncover the hidden truths that lie within the shadows. Tabletop Journeys presents Star Trek: Preservations.
So I generate the bonus momentum from patient. So I'm going to spend that one first to... Is there a connection between the cadmium decay and the cycle frequency in which all of the light systems flickered throughout the ship?
Yes. That cadmium decay is slowly returning to its normal decay rate. That seems to indicate some kind of ticking clock. Everything will be back to normal in that time frame. That time frame is roughly 30 to 40 minutes. Might have to do some extra work to fine tune that time frame though.
So I guess, and if this needs to be another momentum, by all means, when you say return to normal, do you mean in 30 minutes they will pop back up, or we have 30 minutes to rescue them before they are lost?
Yeah, that's going to cost you some more momentum.
Yeah, I'll spend this next one.
But yeah, you got 30 minutes to fix the problem, or they're gone forever.
All right, and then I'm going to spend one momentum and one threat to create an advantage. We have the information. Like, I have the data, the decay rates. I know what's going on, right? They got caught in some sort of quantum backlash, and they have been reduced to some subatomic size. Comm badge. Captain Tsunari, I need you in Science Lab 1. Bring your finest scanning equipment you've got.
Yes, sir. I'll bring everything down immediately.
And after that, I'm towboard to the bridge. Mr. Chizolwer, can you join me in Science Lab 1?
On my way.
And we shift up to the bridge. I am spending 3 threat. As you were standing up to head out, Stavin says, "Sir, we are passing through a Talarian checkpoint. They've asked us to stop as they have information for us that they wish to deliver in person. I have a General Khan on the line.
Have you shared with me that we can't stop yet?
And you are well aware that stopping, not a good plan at this point while this is indicating. When it reverts to normal, you can and you'll be fine, but that means you've either got them or you've lost them. You stop before their relative position will shift. You're relatively certain they can't shift too far, but if their relative position moves significantly, you may not be able to locate them. Because that's really your next thing. You're going to have to locate them. You have to, 1, find a way to get them back, and 2, locate them so that you can get them. Those are the 2 things that you're going to have to do.
You said we couldn't change speed. Can we change direction, or do we have to keep going in a straight line?
You're on a course, and my assumption is starships moving at warp never go on a straight line. So They are following a path to avoid the natural hazards of space, be they be gravity wells, dimensional eddies, planets, asteroids, all kinds of different things. Space is vast, but nothing happens linearly. It's pretty, to me, it's impossible that ships travel at warp speeds in a straight line. That's what the whole plotting course thing is about. Otherwise, you would never need to plot a course. You just point it and go forward and let your sensors tell you when to duck and dodge. You're not traveling in a straight line. This is about relative speed. If you change your relative speed,
Okay.
it's clear that where they are is off sync with you. So there's a time delineation effect in account if you change your speed. You would basically be altering a significant variable, which would make it astronomically impossible to locate them unless they find some way to let you know where they are. It's not necessarily that it will hurt them. It's just there's no way that they'll be anywhere you can find them if you have to stop or change your speed.
Okay.
So, like, I stop halfway towards the Vader and the transport, and start to process this thing for a moment. Ensign Staven, contact the Solarians. Advise them that we are experiencing a technical anomaly and it would be unsafe for us to reduce speed. Request that they match speed and trajectory with us and provide them with our course heading.
Aye, sir. And he transmits that information and he says, sir, the general's hailing.
On screen.
And Talarian general's there. Looks very young, which is actually reassuring. The younger the Talarian generals and military officials you meet, the more likely they are to be of the quote unquote new guard, which are much more Federation friendly than the old guard used to be. That they also tend, and this is a generality, to not have some of those old Talarian misogynistic and cultural elements and conditions. They are still just as militaristic, but they seem to have come into line with the thought that perhaps not being that way about those things will actually make them stronger and more competent and more defensible. So they tend to be more open-minded about things. General Locan says, I've heard of you. You're Chizur. I apologize if I am not pronouncing that properly. Names are things that the translators tend not to do well with if you're not careful in how you pronounce things.
You pronounced it perfectly. Thank you.
Commander, I am General Locan of the Tunar. And that's Tuunarh. Tunar. We are the early warning ship of a potential problem. In the wake of the attacks on your station last year, there have been several dead systems that have had significant issues, things in slight areas that weren't necessarily seen or known. We are noticing things have been flung from their orbits, destroyed, if you will. Some of those things are creating strange gravity wells that are not on our star charts and are not reading very well. We are the early warning system for a large and massive gravity well that is in your direct path. It is large enough that you are now far enough at our current heading and speed that you will not be able to avoid it, even if you alter a course other than a 180. And to do so would cause problems if your goal is to maintain precise speed.
Understood. How much time do we have? And I'm asking both the general and Averick.
Averick is busily waiting for the information. Yep. And what you'll see, because different things are going on, you'll see Lusan actually just shows up on the bridge. He's not assigned at this time, but stuff is going on. Yeah, so he just shows up. Here's what's going on. Goes to one of the open station and starts bringing up his controls. And he's like, "Sir, ready to assist when need be." And Arvik says, "I'm going to need some more data, sir. General, if I may ask, can you send us what information you have?" And the general says, "We will absolutely send. Are you prepared to receive the data?" And he sends it. At this point, you are spearheading this role simply because you're commanding the situation, and you will choose between Arvik and Lusan which one you would like to have do the big assist. I will say that if the complication factor with this data search is going to be high, it's going to be a 4, and the complication could have really disastrous results.
Okay. Considering that Averick has the specialty in the warp fields theory, my guess is that he would have the better chance of trying to determine what the impact of this could be.
Okay. All right.
Yes. So I need to make the roll for this, or one of them is making.
You're gonna make your roll from a command is going to be your department. Then you can pick whichever attribute you would like. And I'm going to, and then we'll have somebody roll for Arvik.
You said this would be command. I'm going to guess this is going to be reason. Do we have any? We don't have any momentum.
There are 2 at this moment, from what I see.
I'm going to spend a threat to get the extra die. I don't believe that I have an appropriate focus for this. I do not. That is 2, and that's a shame. That's 3 successes. It would have been 2 criticals, but I don't have a relevant focus. So it's 3 successes plus 1 that has to be spent now.
Okay. Let me roll for Arvik.
Yep.
That's a success. So you got 4 successes. Lacey, if you'd be kind enough to roll for the DC. And I believe that would fall under.
I rolled very high. I rolled a 17 on this one.
I don't think that's going to work in this case. It'd be computers on in this case. So I don't think that's 17 is going to hit. But we got, so that's 5 successes. And I said the difficulty was.
Should be 4. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. 4 successes or 5?
I got.
Arvik got a success.
Okay. But did he get a critical?
No, he did not get a critical.
We only have 4.
Okay. So 4 successes.
Oh, sorry. 4 plus the bonus one I get for intense.
Yep.
All right. Joe, I would like your assistance on this because I think we probably want to create sort of an advantage / trait for this.
So essentially the trait will be gravitational anomaly detected. So we are at less difficulty while we're trying to maneuver if and when we have to.
Okay. In that particular case, so you have that trait, we'll say gravity well avoidance protocol.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm going to make sure that Tobor knows that I'm stuck on the bridge because we are dealing with a potential hazard in the road.
And so you have enough to actually get a time frame. You're going to hit or have to turn at a minimum of 25 minutes.
Start
roughly, yeah, which is a bit faster than the whole thing sets off or returns to normal. So you got 25 minutes to get this figured out. It's a short amount of time to have that kind of sorted. And let's just touch base on where we are for momentum. You had 2 going in with your successes, and then you built a trait. How many should that leave us with? What do you guys have for that?
I should have put 2 back into the pool.
Okay. So the way I'm looking at it, correct me if I'm wrong, that is 2, 4, 6, 8 threat and 4 momentum. Does that match what we should have?
Sounds right.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure. I got a little twisted up in my brain, so I wanted to make sure I had the right number as we move on to save us some struggle later on. All right. And so you have a clock. You know what you are for timing. You got 25 minutes. You know the threat that's looming, and you know that the Solarians are not out to harm you, but there's not a lot they can do to help you either at this stage. But they will follow along with you. Have you divulged what the issue is to them, or will you be doing that?
No, not well. Unless they specifically ask, I'm not going to provide any information, and I have an idea of what I would provide if they do ask.
Okay. All right. They have not asked thus far. They're taking you at your word. And we are going to flip over to Tanari, who has arrived at the lab with sensor gear and scanning gear in tote.
All right. I assume the captain gives me the download as to what's going on.
Yep. And I'm like, set up on that station. We're going to try and figure out a compression algorithm that we can send a communication beam into this quantum realm and make contact with the team.
Gotcha.
So that's what I'm working on. The science math of the compression algorithm to be able to shrink a comm message down to reach them.
Okay.
But I'll work on the hardware for that.
Absolutely. That was what I was going to say. So the hardware piece, in theory, should be pretty easy. The math is actually going to be harder in this case. So the hardware piece is only going to be a 2. But we're going to let the math go first because depending on what he does, that may be able to provide some benefit to the hardware portion.
Well, I was just going to have it like Tanari assist in the 1 roll, but we can do 2 if you want.
I like the gated challenge version of it better.
Okay. All right. So what's my difficulty, Lee?
Difficulty is going to be a 3 on the math. Your complication range is a 3. Basically, if you're off on your numbers, factor, you'll end up sending the mission in a way that's unintelligible, kind of thing. Basically, off frequency.
All right. Can I get the computer to assist?
Absolutely.
Assist? All right. So then I think I'll buy 1 die with momentum, taking this down to 3. I'm going to buy a 2nd die with momentum as well.
So that takes you down to 1.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So I've got a 3, 15, 11, and 12 for my reason science, which is a 14. So I'm going to spend 1 of my 2 determination that I have saved up from last episode, and using the value of the lifetimes of experience are never enough. I'm going to turn the 15 into a 1, giving me 2 crits and 2 successes for 6 on my roll. And I need the AC to assist me. Lacey, do you want to roll computer science, which would be an 11 or less?
Got you. 9.
All right, so we've got 7 successes.
Yep.
Which is 3 more than needed? 4 more than needed. It was difficulty 3.
4
right?
more than needed. Yep.
All right, so we're back to 5, right? 4 plus 1.
Yep, that is correct.
Excellent. And then I actually had forgotten this, but was reminded previously that both the intense species ability of the Andorians and the patient species of the Trill are based off of the number of die you purchase. So since I purchased 2 dice with momentum, I get 2 bonus momentum.
Oh, wow. I was not aware of that.
Yeah, it's per die purchased. which is just going to encourage Dave to spend more threat. You're
And
welcome.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That leaves you with one bonus that must be spent.
I've got on my math, I have 5 regular and 2 bonus momentum right now, which I'm going to spend for a trait immediately.
All right. And that is?
So I'm going to spend 2 and then 2 more to get a potent 2 trait of quantum compression algorithm,
Okay.
which means we'll have a -2 difficulty on the roll to actually contact the team.
All right. Got it. And that should leave you with
3 momentum.
3 momentum. Got it. All right. Where?
all right. So I will be adjusting the communications equipment.
What's his difficulty again? Was it the 3?
His
I believe.
difficulty is 2 and 2. 2 difficulty, 2 complication.
Got it. So can I use the potent 2 trait on the algorithm?
Yep.
So it's actually the difficulty 0?
Yep.
All right.
I am, however, because you have that new information, and it does appear that while you're not at the gravity, things have gotten a little more challenging, going to increase that complication range from 2 to 3 and 4. So spending momentum to increase that complication range just a little bit.
Okay, so since we're under pressure, can I use my composure focus?
I think composure as a focus is about maintaining and forcing composure in situations where it's not always there. So I think one can have composure even if it's not an easy situation. Otherwise, it's not composure, it's just doing something that's easy. So I'm fine with you using that focus in this particular situation. So yeah, you're like, cool heads need to prevail. I gotta get this done, kind of thing.
Okay, and so now you bumped it up to a difficulty 4, right?
No, the difficulty remains 0. The
Oh, it was
complication
complication is 4.
has been increased to 4.
So I did this specifically so you could just roll 2 dice, procedural compliance 1, and only have
Mhm.
1 chance of rolling a complication.
Yes, but I'm tempted to go ahead and buy a threat just so I have a re-roll chance, because these are my
Bold
dice.
engineering, yeah, fair enough.
So I will buy a dice with threat.
All right.
Well, I'm glad I did. It was a 1 and a 19. Now it's a 1 and a 7, so 3 successes.
All right.
4 technically.
Right, 4 with procedural yes, 4 with procedural compliance.
All right.
So we're back. So we're back to 7 momentum. 8
And
with
tell you
your
what,
bonus.
I will take my bonus and 1 momentum, and I will bump the trait that Joe created to 3.
Okay.
We're at 6 in the pool.
All right. And you have a device that will compress any message you send. It's designed really smoothly. You tap your badge, you can send the communication. As long as they have something set up on the other end to receive, they're fine. And you'll know if you connect with them, but their ability to respond depends on what they do.
So I send the message, tow board to the science team. We figured out what has happened. We understand about the relative positional shift. We are approaching a gravitational anomaly. We have 25 minutes to recover you, 22.5 minutes now. We are working. Help is on the way.
One
Yes,
more
sir.
thing. Starfleet citation for conspicuous gallantry. Once
Yes,
per
sir.
mission, the character pays for pays for immediate momentum by adding threat. They may roll a d20 if equal or less than their daring. 1 threat is removed from the game master's pool. Is that something I can go ahead and Oak.
Say that again. You get to remove threat from my pool?
Once per mission, when the character pays for an immediate momentum spend by adding threat, they may roll 1d20. If the result is equal to or less than the character's daring, one threat is removed from the game master's pool.
So it's as he gets the free, you don't get the bonus.
Okay.
So I have a daring of 11. I got an 11.
I am down to 4 threat, and there's 6 momentum as I'm counting it. All right. We are back in the quantum realm. At this point, kind of looks at Narilla and she says, Narilla, what the hell happened? How are we here and how do we get out?
I think that it was just a combination of things, of the way the experiment, the part of the experimenters on, and how fast we were moving in throughout space and the subspace environment all came together to cause this gesturing to this. We need to find a way to communicate. I think it's just us that was affected, but I can't be sure.
You can get a sense that the other two are now puzzled by what appears to be a level of familiarity between the two of you. Notably, she called you by your first name, not Lieutenant, not your last name. They seem to have a little puzzle effect going on.
Not really time into it.
She then says, well, then I guess number 1 in the class is going to have to let us know what we need to work on.
Make a uncomfortable face. Maybe there is a way to modulate our tricorders to get communication back to the ship. No, pull out my tricorder and kind of start fiddling with it.
Kind of says, I did work for a short time when I was at Daystrom on a project dealing with quantum signaling. Basically, we were trying to agitate quantum-sized or a quantum version of molecules using signals, which would be akin to communication signals. I do know there are certain wave structures that are needed when communicating or signaling at this level. We just need to figure out the resonance factor. There's a standard at relative stop in space. We would need to calculate based on where we are or where we expect we are and our speed to compensate for that in order to get it just right.
Well, that seems like a good start. I do feel like maybe we would be a little ahead of the game if you had kept in touch and I would have some sort of idea of what you've been doing all these years. But now's not the time.
It's not. But I'll be sure to fill you in. Any messages from my folks that maybe you might have, since they like talking to you more than me?
I don't think it's time for that. Now
I
look
guess we get-
visibly much more uncomfortable.
And you basically have like the other 2 crew members looking like 2 little kids watching their parents argue and not knowing how to get the hell out of the situation. And for a Tellarite to see an argument going on and not want to get involved, that tells you the level of what is happening in this moment. Because Tellarites will argue anything, involved or not. And he's like, nope.
I'm out.
Not with a 20-foot pole. And Tellarites, we always go 20 because 10 is not enough for a little short. And with that, kind of says, I guess we get started mathing. She says, why don't you work with your ensign and I'll work with your crew member. That way we can each do our different parts. You try to get us going maybe, and then I'll work on the calibration.
That seems like a good plan.
Okay. With you trying to figure out your end of the expansion. So if on the outside they had to compress signals, you needed to be able to expand signals to send out. So you're working on an expansion process from your end. So you would work on that. So it's basically the opposite of what they did on the outside. We had Tanara doing the hardware. That's the part that you're kind of doing, and she's going to math to make sure that it gets calibrated right in that situation. However, those difficulties and complication ranges are reversed. So in this case, the math is going to, that's the easy part. You get 2, and if she has some familiarity there, and the expansion part is going to be a little bit more challenging at 3 and 3. You've got Gragov with you,
Okay,
who does have an applicable focus.
good. And science reason is okay?
Yep.
Let's make it the bold variety.
Yes. And were you going to spend any momentum or threat?
Can I use a threat for bold and use a momentum because feels like not the time to fail?
It'd be 1 and 2 on the momentum. So you'd be left with 5 threat, 4 momentum.
What are the conditions for re-rolling?
So you've got 2 options. One, because you've spent bold, you can re-roll 1 die.
Okay.
Or if you need to re-roll more than 1, you can spend a point of determination and use a value that's applicable in order to re-roll 1 or more.
I would like to use the determination, please.
Back good. Excellent. Your determination.
Yeah, I had a 19 and a 20. I'm like,
Yeah,
now is not
yes.
the time.
Yeah.
So values. It's always worth trying something.
I like it.
All
That
right.
works for me.
Okay, that's much better. And it's a reason science. Okay.
Yep.
So I got a 4, 4, 1, and a 14, and a 14 does succeed.
Focus that applies, do you?
I don't think so. So all these quantum woo-woo stuff that it's not. Not my favorite.
Just like how you just say exotic particles, like
Yeah.
sciencey for like we have no idea what we're talking about.
How many successes total?
I think 5, because the 1 counts as 2, right?
Yeah. All right. And so with 5 successes on 2 difficulty, that's 3 momentum. That gives you 1.
Garkov help?
Grakov can help if you would care to make that roll.
I assume we standard issue 10 attribute for department for his specialty department, right? For
Correct.
14.
Yep.
He gets a 14.
Excellent. So that's 6. So that'll be 2 bonus momentum. For
Was
towards
the difficulty
immediate
4?
spend.
So we've got 8, 2 we have to spend immediately.
Correct.
All right. Sounds like you, with the 2 bonus momentum, Lacey, you're going to need to make a trait advantage. Otherwise, we just lose the momentum.
Yes, we should make a trait. But that's a little unfamiliar for me, because can someone give me a little guidance?
Generally, if you're building a trait, what you're going to narratively describe it the way you're comfortable with narratively describing it based on your role, what you were trying to do. You're working on the hardware to create this expansion thing. But what you do is you can use it to create a trait that reduces the difficulty on a specific type of challenge related to that test in the future.
So, for example, you may want to consider the trait being a modified tricorder, right?
Okay.
And then so
Yeah.
it'll make the difficulty of us communicating either possible, or if it was already possible, to reduce the difficulty by 1.
I like that idea, modified tricorder, to make it a little bit easier to get into contact.
the great thing about the flexibility of Star Trek Adventures as the game master. He has multiple options. He could say, literally, it is impossible for us to communicate at the start, and we have to take actions to turn the impossible into possible. So Tanari and I created the quantum compression algorithm, and you and Garkov on your end created the modified tricorder. Those two traits now make something that otherwise would be impossible now possible.
There is one last roll that's going to be made. That's going to be made by Tenna. She has an applicable focus, and she is going to use reason and science. And she has her own pool of momentum because she is in this scenario and for this episode, she is counting as a major NPC, but she will then fall into a standard crew role moving forward. So in this particular case, she's going to roll. Nobody actually checked her records before. One person may or may not know them. I'll leave that at that. But no, you did?
I did the reading.
So she's going to roll. She is going to spend 3. So she gets 2 dice because, as Cirilla said, this seems like the kind of roll one does not wish to fail. She's got 3 successes. And then she gets the assist. Dave, if you would roll for the assist. This is an enlisted crewman, so he's not going to have 4 on that. He's going to be that next stage down as far as the crew quality piece. Still a good valued member of the crew, just not going to be quite as skilled as an academy graduated officer as the ensign would be.
So 13 or less. He's not exceptional.
Okay. 16.
No assist there. The beauty is this was the 3, so success without any of the flourishes. What she's able to do is calibrate her tricorder to emit a signal that compensates for the variance. In retrospect, even when you're able to make communication, getting you out of this situation would require being able to be targeted. That emission is what's going to allow you all to be targeted. So at this point, of the communication that Topside had sent you, you're able to read it successfully, and you're able to transmit as though it's a standard combadge conversation, and I will let you take it away. If you would repeat what your initial send was, and then we'll take that conversation from there.
So, Captain to the science team, we've identified that there has been some sort of incident in which you have likely been reduced to the quantum subspace molecular level. We're attempting to devise a way in which to retrieve you. However, relative speed of the ship means that we are likely to encounter a destructive gravitational anomaly within 25 minutes. We are investigating. We will get you back. Please respond.
When I read the gravitational, like 25 minutes away, I'm just like, pretty yikes. But I will respond. As of now, we're safe. We believe that this was due to many factors regarding the experiment, the environment the ship was in at the time, the speed we're moving, so we should not alter our speed. We're doing the best we can on this end to figure this out.
Very good, Lieutenant. We have, with this signal, we're hopefully going to be able to lock on to you. I'm sending Mr. Tanari up to the transporters to see if he cannot make some daring modifications to them to be able to lock onto your signal and beam you back.
10 out of here, sir.
Yes, Lieutenant.
Please let whoever's operating the transporters note that they're going to need to utilize the following wavelength signature in order to adjust the transporters and fine-tune them. They should be able to lock onto us, and by using that phase variance, we should be able to be safely transported as though we're moving from transporter pad to transporter pad.
Excellent. Mr. Tanari will get the data as soon as he arrives in transporter room 3.
Excellent.
I turn to him and I'm like,
And I'm already gone.
yeah.
Yep. You're in the transporter. As soon as the door opens, the transporter chief says, "Of course, sir." Smiles and steps to a side station and sets to a little protocol to manage improving power output to safety buffers, just in case.
Okay. Also make sure the communications in the transporter room is hooked through to the quantum communicator in the science lab. So I can
Yep, so
communicate.
I'll be assisting you from the science lab with all the sciencey stuff.
Also make sure I can communicate with the little team.
Communications are going to be smooth. You have everything to communicate. It is essentially a straightforward transport. At this point, there's no need to roll. You are able to do this. The hard work was really the figuring it all out, finding them, locating them, and them being able to be found and signaling back. It was basically connecting the two sides of that situation. So you are able to successfully beam them out. They are on the transporter pad, the ocean. You get the word that they have safely been retrieved. They are at the right size. What are your orders?
Full stop.
I'll look at
Safely.
Neil and I'm like, are you an inch shorter?
Tenev steps off the pad. She looks back, and then she looks at you with a smile. She always liked flats, and then exits the transporter room. And with that, we are done with this scene. We are going to do a quick denouement because we are right nearing the end of our time today. But a decompression of the experiment, like I said, it was a series of things that took place that led to that one event. So definitely an accident. You can certainly very easily, no rules necessary, build the protocols around any future experimentation. But this is something that's basically going to go back to the scientific heads that kind of set up the experiment that you were running. There's lessons to be learned from this, but essentially, this is not something that's going to be rolled out fleet-wide on Fleet Day and without further experimentation. No big worries other than the experiment went goofy. You have your two science officers who are a bit perplexed by what they witnessed. But what I would like is for each of you, Narilla, you roll for yourself. Dave, I'd like you to roll for one of the science officers. Adam, I'd like for you to roll for one of the science officers. And Joe, I'll let you roll for 10 of. And two dice. Basically, we're just going to see if they were able to pick up random data that could be useful while you're in the quantum realm. The goal of Starfleet is to govern. You're in a realm that people have never been before. There are going to be images that all these tricorder readings had the opportunity to grab, but it's a weird situation. So you're basically rolling to see if you captured a lot of extra information that may become helpful later on down the road.
What's our difficulty number?
Difficulty is going to be a 3 on this, and there's 2 dice. This is not something where we're really adding dice. It's just to see if each individual gets any success with picking up a significant amount of information. Basically, if this was somebody's life path, if you're successful here, this becomes that career event of had a breakthrough kind of thing. And if somebody does wish to spend their determination, Lacey, to get that, but you already spent your determination, that would not be an option. This would have been a spot where you could have done that to get that scientific breakthrough of a lifetime.
And then our target number?
So you're rolling under 14. Adam, you're rolling under 13. And Joe, you are rolling under 14, but you have a focus that applies. So you get a critical on a 4 or less.
Science reason?
Yeah, science reason.
Do we spend momentum on this, or are we just rolling straight?
We're rolling straight.
Okay.
You get 2? Okay. And Dave? 2? Adam?
Nice.
I rolled an 18 and a 20.
Ooh, good thing there were no complications on this one. And Joe?
A 1 and a 3. So 4 successes.
That'd be 4 successes. Your new security officer was able to capture data capable of being able to put together a significant scientific paper on the quantum realm and direct observation.
If you ask really nicely, Nerlina, I think she'd let you be a co-author. The footnote. Oh yeah, and she was here too.
Oh my gosh.
And arrange for her to get beamed out into space if you want.
You arrive at the end of the mission at Zindus. You're greeted with open arms. Nari, the Dilamus Christian has some time here, so there is time for leave. A couple day or two leave. The ship can take leave in shifts, so everybody can say you're going to be here for about a week to 2 weeks. Azig's in station, which is in system, and he of course has plenty he wants to chat with his old buddy about, and there's all kinds of good things to be done. What would you be doing during this time that you'll have this R&R, this downtime? And I'm going to go around the horn. We'll actually handle that in future quick treks individually, but this is where we kind of get to let the audience know what's coming up.
In the downtime, I'm going to be doing a lot of morale building with the crew, hosting dinners and getting to know some of the new crew members, and also putting out drawing the chalk X on the side of the mailbox to connect with Pritchard through all of our back channel information systems we'd set up through these years. We made it to New Zindus, right?
You're at New Zindus.
Right.
Now, New Zindus is that planet, and then there's Brazig's fueling and repair station, which is in system, but not right in the exact same spot. Basically, anybody can take leave. And remember, if you recall, and it was like 2 years ago, Lacey, you weren't even on during those episodes. There's a whole mess of moons and stuff here, all kinds of neat things to look at, explore. One of those moons was rocky and is great for EVA climbing. There's adventure things that can be done. There's sciencey things that can be done. There's solo and alone time kind of chill things that can be done. Brazig Station really has a Quarks Express that was recently set up.
Nice. I do the diplomatic stuff with the colony governor and do the tours and the niceties and all that, and work on dinner with the crew and department heads. And then, yeah, like I said, check in the dead drop setups we set up on Brazig's station for any contact.
Okay. All right. And Ocean, what would you be doing during this week-long or downtime?
So I've got a couple threads that I have, irons that I have in the fire, especially the stuff with the ebony Nox. But I would also like to see whether or not I can get any leads on some of the missing operatives that we've haven't really been as worried about until we realized that the Ebony Nox was playing a bigger part in this whole thing.
Okay.
Specifically, Bradley Smith, Nightshade, and Kolo Kum, who was supposed to be over at Deep Space Nine, but we never really followed up on that. Might also like to put some feelers out for who's actually currently in control of the Ebony Nox, because there was a power struggle going on the last time you guys gave me information about them.
Yep.
The two other things that I'd like to do is, as I mentioned, I'd like to do a personnel review with the DC.
Okay.
As a full-blown crew member. And there was also a project that I might like to kick off. So there was an algorithm that would have loaded into Federation systems that was causing the redaction of the data regarding the subspace stuff. Yep. I want to see if I can get some folks together who have been read in on the whole conversation. I want to see if we can do a little bit more, figure out what's happening with the redaction, and see whether or not we can figure out who it's going to, who created it, who I'm sure things are not getting fully redacted they're not getting purged on send. They're getting purged after send. So most likely somebody's still getting the correct information. And I'd like to see if we can track down who that is or what that is.
Okay. Sounds good. And Dave.
Probably taking some time off. Speak to Brazig. He and I have a project going out, which is trying to. Canary has a project he's been trying for years, is trying to figure out the correct algorithm to win at Dabo.
Yeah.
But also, there's a little thing that I believe you and I have been talking about in private that he's going to probably do during this time.
Yep.
And then he'll probably talk to Brazig also about how things are going at the mining operation, just to make sure things haven't gotten out of control.
All right.
As well as just
And
some other actual relaxing things.
sure. And AC, how would you like to spend your week or so downtime?
I think that it's probably makes sense to try to spend some time talking with Tanev
Okay.
and sorting through some old baggage.
Sounds good. All right. We'll get into the details of what each of those will be. We'll do some quick tricks. So following this episode, our dear audience, what you will know is we go into quick tricks. If you're new to us, basically those are little mini solo sessions. And I say mini, they're about an hour or so long, depending. Occasionally we get one that's longer, depending on where the narrative takes us. But the idea is our main episodes is the crew working together as a crew to handle whatever comes. But each of the Starfleet officers has personal lives, personal friendships, tasks, investigations, and things that they're working on individually that they bring back to the table. And Quick Tracks allows us to really focus in on that and their lives and what makes them, and bring that back to the crew and enrich the story as a whole. So that's where we'll be when next we meet. But until then, I will say thank you very much for joining us here at Tabletop Journeys.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for everybody for playing with us.
Wishing everyone infinite diversity and infinite combinations.
All right, take
All
care.
right.
Live long and prosper.
IDIC, y'all.